Yeah.
What's up? Just want to say hi real quick.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Glad you're still here.
I mean,
for more Guardians talk,
I'm in between these
Look,
guys.
he loves tennis.
Yeah.
I'm like this.
And so now
Yeah,
you're
he's
watching a
back and
tennis
forth.
match.
If you could do a 10-minute tennis breakdown segment, Dustin, he can talk when Jay and I don't have to say anything.
there was a
He-
hell
he
of
will.
a Sinner
But
and
we-
Medvedev match last
you know.
night. Final.
The man
Great.
knows the sport.
the beauty is, Dustin, you're going to be the tiebreaker on a couple of these for the
Okay,
next
we
ones.
playing,
'Cause I've gotten the answers from Jay and
match
Bull, and
tiebreaker
they
or
agree
set
on a few,
tiebreaker?
disagree. So you'll be the
Set to start,
tiebreaker
okay.
here. If you want more Guardians talk that's not on UCSS, Bull and Zach are doing an Ultimate Guardian show this week, Wednesday, right, Bull?
Yes, we're doing 9 a.m. this Wednesday. We'll do a full season preview.
So make sure you guys tune into
Just
that.
1 week before the season.
All right, we're going to do a little this player or that player for the Guardians. The question is, at the end of the 2026 season, when we look back, it'll be who had a better season, player A or player B. It's simple as that. And let's start with two of the candidates for that fifth starter role, Jay Parker Messick and Joey Cantillo. Bull, who do you believe when it's all said and done will have a better 2026 season?
I've been high on Joey Cantillo. I've been talking about him the entire offseason. Whereas it seems like everything the Guardians do offensively backfires. The opposite general happens with the pitching. They are great at developing pitchers, as good if not better than any team in the league. And when this guy came back from the minors at the end of last year, he looked like a completely different pitcher.
He did.
And he's an extremely hard worker. He's a lefty, which I love. He's really talented. I think I didn't realize how talented he was. But he changed his pitch mix in the middle of the season.
That's hard to do, too, by the way.
Yeah. And it worked for him, and I think he's going to have a big-time year. I think he's going to be a starter all season, and I think he's going to pitch to an ERA in the 3.7s, which would be sensational. A good solid these days. You have a 3.7 ERA, that's pretty darn good. Maybe even better. I mean, last year in 95 innings, he was 3.21. Maybe I'm underselling at 3.7.
Yeah, you might be.
Yeah, but I think he's going to have a really, really good year for the Guardians, and I think I like Parker Messick too, but I think Cantillo will be the better of the two.
Yeah, this was tough for me because I like both of them.
Yeah.
When I talk to people, I think this is the case with it's just human nature. When you talk to someone, I think you get a better understanding of, I really like that guy. I like his work ethic. I like his approach. I didn't get a chance to talk to Joey for whatever reason this spring training camp, but I did talk to Parker at length. And I think Parker Messick is poised to have a monster year. Much smaller sample size, but look at his ERA from last year. I like everything about this guy.
Strikeout to walk numbers are really good.
Incredible. I mean, he's almost a K per nine.
Yeah.
A K per inning. He's stout on the lower half. I mean, when he walked in the room, he was wearing shorts, and he's got oak trees for legs.
Yeah.
As a pitcher, and someone who's pitched my whole life, I know how important that is to your upper body health. A lot of guys used to just focus on upper body health, and then at some time around the 80s, maybe Nolan Ryan, whoever it was, they started saying, no, you know what? You stay healthy up top by being strong and stout below the waist. And he is just a thick guy. I think he's going to hold up well. This question strikes at the heart of their strength. They can go 7 deep in the starting pitching rotation.
You could make a good case that Cantillo and Messick are both more talented than Logan Allen, in my opinion.
I agree.
I would like to see them both in the rotation.
I think that might actually be coming.
It could happen.
Because I think it's their success is going to be impossible to ignore. And Logan got lit up yesterday.
Yeah.
I think he probably will start on the roster. And if he doesn't pitch well, there might be a move that has to be made there because these kids are too good to keep in Columbus. I asked this question of Tanner Bybee, and his answer is hilarious. I'll ask you, who's their opening day starter?
I think Gavin Williams.
Gavin.
I kind of
You
think
asked Bybee that?
I did.
Okay.
And he goes, I don't know. And I go, when are they? He goes, I don't know. Voter will probably tell us in a week.
Yeah.
You can kind of get a sense by what you're doing in spring training.
Yeah.
I do think it will be Gavin Williams, and I think he will be the ace.
He pitched the best last year.
You can make a case for Tanner Bybee too. You could. Now Tanner Bybee might get the home opener if it staggers out right. I know they have they have 2 stops before they come home this year.
Yep. Home openers against the Cubs.
But Bull, I asked that question because I don't think there's a huge difference between Williams and Bybee. I don't. I think Bybee's going to have his best year ever.
They both should be they both are capable of being all-star caliber pitchers.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think they're clear front of the rotation guys.
Yeah.
The depth in the starting rotation this year, it's almost an embarrassment of riches. A lot of teams break spring training and they know we got 3 that we love.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the Guardians are going to have 5 that they love.
Well, and they're going to have to rely on their pitching staff because obviously there's way more question marks in the lineup. So, yeah, there's.
I mean, look at that.
Their upside now. It's good rotation.
It's
yeah.
fantastic, and I do think, and you always hear this, but it's so true. You're going to need more than 6 throughout the course of the season.
These days, especially.
Guys get hurt, particularly early on, even if it's just missing one start. They've got an incredible roster where they can just call a guy up, take a spot start, send a guy back down. I think there's going to be a lot of movement this year between pitchers until they figure out what the best 5 are, but they've got 6 months to do it.
I think the Tigers have a better rotation than the Guardians, but the Guardians have a deeper rotation.
Well,
I mean, but definitely.
yeah, I think it's deeper. They have the better pitcher, for sure.
Well, I mean, even, Framber Valdez.
Ace.
Yeah, and even Framber Valdez right now is better than
Probably, yeah, he
either
is.
of the Guardians'
He is, but
top starters. But
I think that this rotation is going to keep Cleveland in it.
yeah, 100%.
I think they will. But I would take Messick just because I think he's his numbers last year were incredible.
So
they
one
really
for
were.
Messick, one for Cantillo. Dustin, you're the tiebreaker. Who's going to have a better season?
Cantillo, Mike. Cantillo.
I would just say Cantillo because I've heard Bull say Cantillo way more than Parker Messick over the last year.
True, he has.
And
I have too.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be right, but
And I love you, Jay, and I love you, Bull.
yeah.
We're not. You can pick favorite. It's okay.
It's not a favorite. I just think that
You know more about Cantillo.
In this situation, I think that Bull, because he's not a diehard Guardians fan, will see it more down the middle a little bit.
Perhaps.
And so I'm going to lean with Bull.
I mean, they're both Guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I look
No,
at them.
I know.
I look at them.
I know.
I love each equal. But the other guy, Slade Ciccone, my conversation with him, he doesn't have no idea what his ERA was last year.
Really?
He's like, I never look. And I'm like, how do you even avoid that? He goes, I just don't look. I don't care.
If you had to choose, you'd rather the Guardians win a World Series than the Browns win the Super Bowl.
Oh, 100 times
Right,
over.
right. Okay, that's what
100 times
I was pretty
over.
sure about that.
Yeah.
All right, next one, guys. 2 infielders who both said earlier are on their last shot.
Well, in my
Ryan
opinion,
Rocchio-
it's their last shot.
Well,
don't
but
know
I
if
mean,
we know that for a
last shot to
fact.
prove themselves.
Yeah.
Rocchio or Arias? Bull, you went first last time. Jay, you get the first stab at this one.
I'm going to pick Rocchio just because I think he fits the Guardians team mold better than Arias does. I think he's a hard worker. I just can't forget the playoff Rocchio we got 2 years ago. I mean, it was mesmerizing how this guy became Mr. October. Just had one clutch at-bat after another. It wasn't just a few at-bats. He did it throughout the postseason run. I like him a lot defensively. I think he does have defensive lapses. I think he's got to clean that up. He's got to clean his base running up a little bit. But I know it's there, and I know he can do it against the best competition because I saw it in October, and I'm betting on that. Arias' skill set is intoxicating. But he's almost gotten too big to be shortstop. I mentioned all the guys that got big, like in the right way. I don't necessarily think that his body transformation was the right kind of body transformation the Guardians are looking for.
Yeah.
He looks a little
Too
heavy,
bulky?
a little too heavy to play
Okay.
shortstop.
Yeah.
And there was a game last Wednesday, I believe, may have been, I think it was Wednesday. He made 2 errors on one play. Would have been the last out of the inning, ground ball to him. Bad throw to first. It allowed a run to score. The hitter then was taking second on the bad throw, and the first baseman's throw to Rocchio was one he should have handled, Arias, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And that got away. And then the next hitter, Logan Allen, comes out of the game, who pitched very well. Next hitter hits a home run. Now it's 4-1.
Yeah.
That was the Giants game. So I just see, I see more holes in his game and problems in his game than in Rocchio's.
Yeah. I also picked Rocchio. Part of it, too, is, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Arias has been in the big leagues much longer. He has.
I think maybe 1 year
Can you
longer.
look at the plate appearances, Mike, for Arias and Rocchio?
Well,
there a
don't
significant
forget,
difference? Now,
Rocchio
one sec.
spent time in the minor leagues last year.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I
he
think-
definitely has more at-bats.
But and I think Rocchio, the only thing I'll say while Mike's looking that up is, are the Guardians telling us anything by the fact that Arias is playing short and Rocchio second when we know Bazan is coming at some point?
I think they did that last year,
Yeah.
hoping that Arias was going to be the guy
Yeah.
because
but
Rocchio wasn't having a great year.
Right.
Bull, the numbers are quite close.
Okay.
Arias in 4 seasons has 1,034 plate appearances. Rocchio in 3 seasons has 911. 100 difference.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a significant difference. So we have seen Arias more, but not. I thought the gap was bigger. between
His
the two.
skill set is more intoxicating than Rocchio's. His arm is unbelievable.
I just think his offensive profile, if you will, like he's so boom or bust, but there's not enough boom.
I know. I agree.
To put up
a lot
with
of
the
swing
bust.
and miss.
Yeah.
A lot of chase that I don't love.
Yeah.
I think Rocchio's got better plate discipline.
I don't love either of them, honestly.
I don't
But-
either. My
but-
hope is that Bazana hits, and they bring Bazana up. They move Rocchio to short, and they deal Arias for something.
I have more faith in Bo Naylor getting on track than I do either of those guys.
I'm big high on Bo
Yeah.
Naylor.
This has got to be his year too. But anyway, go ahead, Mike. Next.
No, Dustin, are you in agreement?
Oh,
Yeah, I agree.
he's
All right,
in.
we're going to go
He's
to
in
one
on
that's a
Rocchio.
little
Great.
less direct comparison. Say pitcher versus a position player. At the end of the 2026 season, who will we say had a better year? Kyle Manzardo or Cade Smith?
I mean that's a really hard question.
This was tough for me, man.
Because how do you compare?
Yeah, no.
Who had if they both are great?
Yeah. I think both have the potential to be all-stars.
Yeah. I picked Manzardo only because I think they're both going to be great.
Yeah.
And the impact of a hitter being great, I think, is bigger than the impact of a closer being great. So that's ultimately why. I think Manzardo's going to hit over 30 home runs this year. I think
do
he's
too.
going to have an OPS over 800 this year. I think he's going to be an absolute stud.
Going to be an all-star?
Yeah.
I think
He'll be in the
I have
mix.
to think about all the first basemen.
He'll be in the mix.
But he'll play
He'll be a
at that
reserve.
level to be an all-star.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to have a big year. Again, I think Cade Smith's going to be great. But if they're both, like I said, if they're both great, I'll take the impact of the hitter. So if I have to choose, I'm splitting hairs. I'll take Manzardo.
Yeah, we're really close on this because I went the other way, but I thought this was the one that was most difficult for me because it's apples and oranges.
Right.
I mean, you're basically asking, would you rather have a great hitter or would you rather have a great closer? Now,
Yeah.
I will say this about Cade Smith. Man, he is one of the more interesting personalities I've ever interviewed in my 40 years of doing
what
this.
way?
What? Yeah, explain.
Absolutely the thickest skin I've ever seen. Like, I think he's made to be either a field goal kicker
Yeah.
or a relief pitcher.
Yeah, right.
He said something during the interview. He goes, I play baseball.
Yeah.
That's not who I am. That doesn't define me. I know who I am, very
Yeah.
secure in who I am. And I play baseball because I happen to be good at it. But if I have a bad performance, I don't go into a shell and I don't start second-guessing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I got beat. That's sports. You win some, you lose some. You hope to win more than
Gotta
you
have
lose.
that attitude.
But
Great
man, it
attitude.
is the absolute perfect attitude. The more I
For a
talk
closer
to him,
more than anything
yes.
else. Yeah.
I mean, and then I talked to some other guys about Cade's personality
Yeah.
later, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's who he is. He just it all rolls off his back. He wants to do well.
Yeah.
He also works very, very hard at deficiencies. He goes, I know I do things well, but I don't focus on the things I do well. I'm already good at those.
right.
I want to know, where are my weaknesses? Where do I have to get better? Show me someone who wants critique, and I'll show you a winner. Show me someone who can't handle critique, and I'll show you a loser."
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's a great attitude.
So I believe that Cade Smith is destined to have a monster year. He
Yeah.
had a monster year last
I mean,
year.
he could be as good as any closer in baseball. He's got.
I agree.
the
And I
talent.
didn't realize, I'm trying to think, it was either Hedgie or it might have been Cherney told me this. After the suspension,
Yeah.
the Guardians had the best bullpen in baseball, which is pretty
Right.
impressive.
Yeah, he struggled for the first week.
He did.
And then he was great the rest
Fine
of the
with
way.
it. But like, to think about that, they lost arguably the best closer in the game.
Yeah,
And they still finished with
It
the
is
best
pretty
bullpen in
amazing.
baseball.
It is pretty
So
amazing.
just as they have an embarrassment of riches in their starting rotation, They have the same thing in the bullpen. The bullpen is poised to have another big year, but as you know,
Yeah.
the most difficult thing to transfer year to year is success in the bullpen.
No doubt. But they have some good depth. I mean, like Pedro Avila, who was good here a couple of years
Yes.
ago, I don't even know if he's going to make the team.
Sharon Armstrong hasn't looked great.
Oh,
this
he hasn't?
spring. No.
Yeah, I haven't seen much
I'm a
of
little
him.
concerned about him. He's 34.
He'll make the team, though.
I think
They
he'll
paid
make
him
the
$5
team.
million.
I think he'll make the team, but he's given up a couple home runs.
Yeah, but he's also a veteran.
Yeah.
He may,
right.
you know, Jay, you're a pitcher. You're working on stuff.
I know.
Who knows?
I know.
You know.
I get it.
And
Especially, have you been pitched?
I have not thrown yet. I start in about a week or two. I'll start. But
Oh, yeah. Have you not pitched because of the
Injury,
hip?
right?
no, the hip. I'm clear. I'm good.
That's clear.
I was
Okay.
recently cleared to do whatever I want to do.
Just because it's the time to take off.
Yeah, it's time to start throwing because we're 2 months out.
Yeah,
so
yeah, okay.
I start throwing very soon.
What's your season?
May to really November because we go to Fort Myers for the World Series every year.
Not to derail this whole conversation, I'm curious. How many games do you guys end up playing a year? per year?
Usually, all told, playoffs, regular season, and their tournament, probably 30.
That's awesome, dude.
I'm probably throwing 100 innings a year.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but
That's great.
I don't know how much longer I can do it.
What's your main pitch?
It used to be a fastball, but now it's a cutter. I throw a lot of off-speed stuff. Curveball, slider, change.
Jay's
my-
like
I throw
Kevin
a splitter.
Costner. at
If
the
you-
end
if-
I
of
am,
the-
yeah. You know,
of the-
guys on my old
the
team
movie
used to call
about
me
the
Kenny
Tigers.
Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Kenny
Do
Rogers.
they use you as a starter or relief?
Starter.
Okay, so if you had to come in as a closer for one inning, what would you top out at?
I've done it. I don't love to do it. Oh, you mean MPH?
Yes.
I could probably still hump up and throw high 70s.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Who's the hardest thrower in this league? Is there anybody that throws in the 90s?
No, not up here, but down
Yeah.
in the Roy Hobbs.
Is this
yes.
50 and over or 55 and over?
Yeah, 50.
Okay.
So there's guys still throwing 90?
No, 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Down in the Roy Hobbs, there's a couple guys from Puerto Rico that I don't. They're freaks
play
of
in the
nature.
big leagues?
Bunch of them, tall and
okay.
thin, and
Yeah.
they can still
Yeah.
throw high 80s,
Yeah.
and every once in a while probably low 90s.
So cool.
Yeah. It's,
All right, Mike, what's next?
All right, next one.
we've had 2 disagreements so far.
Yeah.
I know.
Out of 3,
I know.
but they were close.
Yeah.
Selectively choosing the ones so we're not all in agreement.
Kate Smith for me, by the way.
Oh,
Kate
great
Smith.
choice. Siding with Jay there. So
He
Yeah.
sold, well, he sold
Dustin's-
me on the attitude because
Yeah.
I now that I play tennis, I'm way more into the
Mindset.
mental side of
I do
sports.
love that. That is impressive.
And-
Isn't it funny? Don't you wish you had that when you were 18?
Inner Game of Tennis. You ever read it?
No.
Read it. It is.
It's all about mental mindset, right?
You can use it for baseball too.
Yeah.
It's all about the mindset, and I love that because you're on an island, and
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot more singles tennis.
Yeah.
And these matches dude, it is
1v1.
unbelievable. The therapy that you have to provide, the negative self-talk, the positive
Yeah.
self-talk,
Oh, yeah.
all these things, and these closers have to do the exact same
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah. What's it
I'm
called?
Big, the Inner Game of Tennis.
Inner Game
I'll
of
send it to you.
Tennis. Who
Yeah,
wrote
every
it?
time you
It's
blow
been
a
out-
save,
been out for like 30 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
every time
every-
you blow a save, it's a story.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
It's a story every
It is.
time.
Yes, well, especially when you're at that level.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when you're Class A and you're blowing
Yeah.
saves, it's a headline.
It's a headline.
And-
yeah,
and
yeah.
so that's-
you get way more negative press when you blow it than the positive press when you don't.
You are absolutely, because you're expected to do it.
More than any other position in baseball.
Yeah.
You know, outside of the superstar hitter failing in the playoffs.
You know how I can always tell a reliever if they've got the right mindset? There's a saying, it's like, well, all outs are created equally. Right? I mean, you've heard it. It's like,
Sure,
look,
yeah.
the first 3 are no more difficult than the last 3.
Well,
Theoretically,
depends on who you are.
Theoretically, they all should be just as difficult to get. But here's the difference, and the relievers that I think get it understand this. They're leverage outs. In the ninth inning, if you're in, it's a winnable game for the opponent, and not everything is that situation. If
Sure.
you're a starter or whatever, and he does look at it as like, yeah, it's just 3 more outs. It's
Right.
just,
You
it's
have
just 3
to.
outs.
Right.
I got to
But
get 3 outs.
the guys who struggle in that role
Are the ones
probably
that-
don't look at it that way.
They put more
Yeah.
pressure on themselves
Yeah,
and
yeah.
saying, well, these are the toughest
and
outs
there's
to
been
get.
a lot of relievers over the years who were really good, but you put them in the 9th inning, they couldn't get it done.
I know.
There's a lot of guys that if they blow a save or a couple saves in a row, they're done.
Yes.
You know, or they lose it and they lose their
That's
edge.
right.
And I
that's-
believe having the ability to have to be mentally strong to push the last one out
Yeah.
and rely
you
on
have
your
to
skill set.
compartmentalize. It's
Yeah.
so hard, man.
I mean,
tough.
You think about it, as a hitter, you're expected to fail 70% of the time.
If you're going to the Hall of Fame, you fail 70% of the time.
right. But as a closer,
If your closing rate is 70%, you're out of the league.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're not a closer
exactly.
anymore. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right, next one. Jay, you're a starting pitcher. The Guardians have a bunch of starting pitchers. We did mention these two names already, but better 2026 season. Tanner Bybee or Gavin Williams? Dustin, you lead us off on this one.
One more time, sorry.
Gavin Williams or Tanner Bybee?
I will go with Gavin Williams.
Yeah, I'm going Gavin Williams too.
It's a clean sweep. I've always been higher on Gavin Williams than Bybee, although obviously I like them both. Gavin Williams last year in the second half of the season, my biggest complaint with him had been for 2 years that he gets in these spots in the middle of the game where he starts to nibble.
Yep.
And you're like, what is he doing?
He always has a high pitch count.
And he stopped doing that the second half of last year.
Yeah.
He got more aggressive, and it totally changed. You look at those numbers, a 2.20 ERA, his last 10 starts. I mean, I got to get the walks down a little bit, still a little high, but 64 Ks in 57 innings with a 2.20 ERA, that's pretty lights out pitching.
It is. I'm all about pitch count. I think that.
Well, nowadays it's huge.
It is big. I think in the micro, it's very important because you're saving your bullpen. In the macro, it's very important because you can pitch yourself out of your sweet spot in August if you're constantly pitching into the 110s. And today, it's mostly managed. But with a guy like that who has such good stuff, the inclination to keep him in there and let him go because he's built so sturdily, you're like, let him go.
Speaking of the big legs.
Yes, big human being. He's just a massive human being.
Yeah.
He's made a body transformation. I think he looks a little different, more stout, all good.
Yeah. All right, good.
I think Gavin Williams has the ability to win a Cy Young.
Yeah, I do.
I think he's going to be the next in the progression.
I think
of Guardians
Bybee does
pitchers
too.
that
I
do
think
it.
they both have that potential.
I
Their upside for
agree.
both guys is Cy Young. I think.
But with Gavin Williams,
Yeah.
I am with you. I do think that he has the ability to be an ace in contention for a Cy Young. He's the kind of guy. But my biggest caveat with him is exactly what you said, Bull. I'm constantly looking up in the fourth inning, and he's at 87 pitches.
Yeah.
He's
But he
gotta
was better
manage
at
that.
end of the
now,
year.
I think Carl Willis finally got through to him.
Yeah.
Carl Willis finally said, look, you have got to control this. Trust your stuff. Throw strikes. Because I don't know if it's a waning focus, because it always tends to be later in like third, fourth, fifth innings, he starts to get into a high pitch count.
Yeah.
Just attack hitters. Try to keep every hitter to a 4-pitch.
Believe in your stuff. You got
Yes,
the stuff.
throw strikes.
Yeah.
And don't get into these, 3-1s, 3-0s. I know that if you're a strikeout pitcher, you're going to get a higher pitch count, but I would love to see him on an average basis get through 6 innings this year.
It's so funny that you say that, Jay, because I was thinking like the teenage versions of you and I would be like 6 innings. That's
I
it.
know.
But nowadays, I was just literally when you said that thinking if he could average 6 innings a game, that would be amazing.
It'd be perfect. Yeah.
But
But that
this
is
day and age,
that's the game today, and I don't love that, but that's the game.
like averaging 8 when we were kids.
Yes,
going 6.
I know. Complete games
know?
now are almost anomalies. They never happen.
Very rarely.
What's your
never
pitch
happened.
count?
I once threw 177 pitches in a playoff game, 12 innings,
Oh man.
and they twice tried to pull me in.
The
Both times
manager
I
would have
said
been
back in the
fired for
dugout.
that.
Oh, I know, but we won the game 4-3.
Does your manager also play?
No, he does not.
Is he an older guy?
He's my cousin. He was the shortstop. I was second baseman at Perkins High School.
Yeah.
We were the double play combo, and we won Little League championships together. We won
Nice.
championships at every level together.
Does he not play because is he injured now? Or?
He's not injured. He's only a year older than I am, but he hasn't kept himself in playing shape like I have. And he's 61, I'm 60, and we're playing with guys that are 10 years younger than us.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets a little tricky.
It's 50 and over?
50 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the 50s are, like
Yeah,
some of the
dude,
guys look.
50's got is
It used to be when Mike came to our championship game, it was 53 and up.
Yes.
And I felt real comfortable in that because there were no kids. now there's 50-year-olds. Like for the last 2 years, there's been last year was the first year, and there's a noticeable difference.
Yeah,
these guys, and there's a 25 and up, a 35, a 45, and then a 50.
Okay.
So and most teams have teams in each group. So you're just bringing young guys up. So the top teams are bringing up guys that were 49 a year ago.
Your team doesn't have that, or you do?
No, we don't.
Oh.
No, so we're staying this. We're getting older, and everybody else is getting younger, and
yeah.
it's getting harder to compete.
What's the average age on your team?
Probably 57.
What's your old? Who's the oldest player?
57. We've got a guy that's in his 70s.
No.
Doesn't play much, but when he comes in, he runs well. I call him the eighth wonder of the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is
he's an
really
attorney,
cool.
still practicing attorney.
Wow.
Great shape. You never know he's that old.